Welcome, I'm Michael Bickert. Thanks for joining me today as we explore concepts with the objective of improving your management skills and growing your business. Do you have your notepad and your pen handy? I hope so. I'm going to introduce you to a new concept today, and I want you to commit that you will take notes. I want you to make a commitment that you will jot down some sort of action item that you can implement in your business today. That's what this is all about. Implementation to drive your business forward. Now, today we're going to talk about sales. I had a discussion recently with somebody who was looking for a little bit of assistance and was looking to increase sales, but wanting to know, we had this discussion where when do you know that you really need to focus on sales? So let's start there. And I would say that you need to continually focus on sales. That sounds like a no-brainer. It sounds obvious, intuitive, but I think there is some reason that we should explore that just briefly at the beginning here of this discussion, and that is because some businesses, some entrepreneurs, business owners, some of you managers lack capacity to be able to handle additional sales. And so you're not focused on sales. Perhaps you have a good business, it's been going for long enough, and you're not really growing sales. You're actually a bit of a plateau. I would call that a stagnation, but you might be content with that. If you can't handle additional sales, then you need to look at capacity. Let's stop there. Go to one of my videos on addressing capacity. If you can't, if you're continually selling out, then you need to focus not on what we're going to talk about today on sales. You need to focus on increasing your capacity in order to drive your business forward. So that's the first thing. And that's why I think it's not a no-brainer to say everyone needs more sales. Most businesses could always use more sales. And then eventually you will have to address that issue of capacity, but that's not today's discussion. Today we're going to focus on sales. So if you know right now, yes, we could use some more sales, I would like some more sales, then you're in the same shoes of that individual that I spoke with recently, and I was encouraging him how to sort of look at things on a fundamental basis. I like to discuss universal concepts, things that you can remember, little axioms that you can go to and you can revert to time and again as you are trying to grow your business, as you're trying to drive your business forward. And so I was thinking about this, and I was telling him all the various themes, and I thought, I'm not sure. After the discussion, I was thinking to myself, I'm not sure if he is going to be able to always remember this. And that's what I want to do. I want to make things meaningful in a way that you can remember them. So you remember back when you were a kid in math class, or if you're from the UK, maths, and your teacher taught you an acronym regarding order of operations. For me, it was My Dear Aunt Sally that they taught us. Multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So if we were dealing with some sort of formula, some sort of equation in algebra, and we needed to remember, what do you do first? Your order of operations, you went to, in your mind, the acronym, My Dear Aunt Sally. Well, let me tell you the acronym today for you as you need to increase sales and where you should focus, something memorable. Vicious monkeys can really attack. Vicious monkeys can really attack. It's true, they can, but God bless the monkeys. We're not going to pick on monkeys today. I hope this wasn't clickbait, because there are videos out there that address with chimpanzees that I'm not going to digress and go there, but we're not going to show any monkeys attacking. But that is something I wanted to come up with, something that you could revert to and remember very easily. So vicious monkeys can really attack. Remember that. Have you got that? We're going to repeat that one more time. Vicious monkeys can really attack. Vicious is actually value that you're going to remember. Just like My Dear Aunt Sally is not the same as multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Vicious monkeys can really attack. We're coming up with a different acronym, one that's very memorable, and then you have to convert it in your mind. You have to do the code to remember, in terms of business context, what are we really talking about? The vicious, the V, will remind you that value. Everything starts at value. Monkeys will be marketing. Remember, everything can boil down to the first two things. You need to have value in your business, and you need to communicate that value, which we refer to as marketing. You need to communicate your value to your target market. Vicious monkeys, value, marketing. Can, the C in can is going to actually remind you of conquest. So value, marketing, conquest, you need to conquest customers, add customers to your business. Really, vicious monkeys can really attack. The R in really is going to remind you of repeat. Of course, we have conquest customers, but we want repeat customers. And the A for attack is going to remind you of amount. So vicious monkeys can really attack, really comes down to value, marketing, conquest, repeat, amount. Okay, so let's go through these individually. First of all, value. Everything comes back to value, and we've done so many videos on value. You should really look to that because it's so important. It's such a critical part of your business. There are 4 constituents of value. Remember what those are. You should be able to rattle them off. You should have taken that pop quiz. For the 4 constituents of value, we have convenience, customer experience, quality, and pricing. And we want to make sure pricing includes affordability. So you got to address value. That's where we start and everything. But if you are convinced and you have good proof of concept, you've got good market feedback and data that you have sufficient value in your business, then let's go to marketing and let's explore whether or not you are actually communicating that very well to your customers. And how do we know whether or not your marketing efforts are working? Well, we're going to start with engagement, the amount of engagement that you're getting in your marketing efforts. Remember, we can break down, we have a video in which we look at your performance analytics as it relates to marketing, and you should look at, things further up the stream, way up the pipe, before we get to an actual sale, conversion that leads to revenues. That's what we're going to refer to as a sale. Marketing is further upstream, and we're talking about maybe do some content marketing. So what level of engagement is your marketing getting? Are you getting more and more followers, more and more shares, more and more likes, this kind of thing? And are you getting further downstream more leads from that engagement? Is it leading to more leads? And if it is, if your lead count is increasing, then we want to talk about, are you actually getting more sales, which is that final step, the final stage of conversion from lead to revenue. That's a sale. So we're going to look at your closing average, and the extent to which your closing average is sufficient or is improving, then that should mean that you're conquesting more customers. So that's where the conquest. So when you're focusing on conquest, do you have a good closing ratio? Do you know what a good closing ratio is? Are you going better? Is your trajectory for closing average improving year over year, month over month? Are you looking at this on an individual product basis? Are you looking at this on individual team member basis? How are you measuring your closing average, your conversion, that last stage from lead to sale? And that's how you're going to focus on conquest. When we look at repeat, of course you want to look at retaining customers. What is your retention percentage? Or perhaps you look at the opposite. What is your defection of customers? That percentage, you're looking at both of those. They're just the inverse of one another. You want to retain your customers. So think of things, depending on the type of product or service, how long would have to go by without any revenue being generated by a particular customer where he would be considered a defected customer. He's no longer a retained customer. So you want to keep your customers active in your database by communicating with them, but you also want to look at how often they reorder. And of course, from one business to another, you may sell products that are consumable, others may have services that are unlikely needed to be repeated very often. And to that extent, you guys rely more heavily on conquest. So you're going to focus your attention more on the conquest. If your products or services are the kind of thing that have a shelf life, or that you can kind of look at, and what is the average length of time a customer needs before they reorder, take a look at that and ask yourself, for those customers who haven't reordered, have I lost them? Have they gone to the competition? Have you set up some way of communicating with them where you can find out whether or not they're like, oh no, I still have some left of what I purchased before, or whatever you repaired for me is still doing well and I don't need your services. So you haven't really lost them, you're retaining those customers. But you need to measure your reorder rate. The other thing that you want, because when we're talking about retaining our customers and repeat business, we want conquest and repeat business, of course, is we want to consider the frequency. So of course, we're not just looking for one time they reorder. Some of you have the frequency of reorders. Let's say you're in the restaurant business. Is somebody coming to your restaurant every week, or is it once a month, or is it once a year, or is it once only on special occasions every so often? The more often you can get them there. So try to increase your frequency of your reorder, your repeat. Look at the frequency, and that is something that I was really focused on. This one individual I was talking to, I was like, can you increase the frequency with which customers come back? And I'm going to come back to that in just a moment there. The last one is amount. And when we're talking about amount, what we're talking about is the average amount per sales transaction. So you can appreciate that one way to increase your sales is to have higher sales every time you have a sale. So if you are closing a sale, you are converting that last stage from a lead to revenue. How much revenue? Is it $100? Could you increase that to $110? A 10% increase in the amount of revenue per transaction. The average amount per sale is what I want you measuring and trying to increase that over time. Now there are some strategies involved, and one of the things that you may want to consider is additional product offerings. Do you have additional products or services that would be complementary to your main product or services? Or perhaps you are branching out, you start another department. It's like we don't just do widgets, we also do whatchamacallits, and we are great at both. So a person who comes back for a reorder of a widget, you ask them, would you consider also a whatchamacallit? Did you know we do whatchamacallits? So when we talk about the idea of increasing the frequency for your reorders, that's your repeat business, additional product offerings can help with that as well, because if somebody bought something from you and that is very quality product and it lasts a long time or whatever, if you had an additional product, they might consider that as well. And it comes to the same for the average amount per sales transaction, additional offerings. So give some consideration to whether or not there are complementary products or services that you can offer in addition to your core, into what you've started your business, into your current offerings that might increase the frequency, might increase the average amount per sales transaction. The other thing you can do is address your marketing. You might be already having really good array of products or services, but your marketing doesn't say that, or your marketing fails to communicate that. So you have somebody who buys widgets from you, you've offered whatchamacallits for several years, but are you doing a good job in your marketing efforts and your strategy of letting all your widget customers know, hey, we also have whatchamacallits? Or conversely, your whatchamacallit customers, do you let them know that you also have widgets? And you should consider strategies where, depending on your sales method, whether you do a more passive online e-commerce sales or a brick and mortar location, you want to make sure you're communicating through your sales team, through your sales channels, through your marketing, and letting people know, hey, we have both widgets and whatchamacallits, and we have combo deals. So consider combos, making sure you're communicating it and then giving some incentive for people to consider both. So these opportunities to upsell your customers come through good communication, which is marketing, and then also considering some sort of combo where there's an incentive for both, or volume discounts. That's another way to increase the average amount per sales transaction. So maybe instead of buying one widget, there's an incentive for me to buy 2 widgets. You can think of certain businesses, Costco would be the biggest example that comes to mind for me right now, that they're not interested in selling you little tiny packages of widgets. They sell you big widgets. So the average sale per transaction, the average amount per sales transaction at a company like Costco is far greater than some of their competition, and far greater than most of you plan on when you go in there. But they do a really good job of trying to make sure, with their low margins, that they have really good average order size. So give some consideration to that. Volume discounts. Could you offer widgets and whatchamacallits if people bought 10 at a time? Would you be willing to give them a break on that? So I wanted to keep it really simple. I just wanted to teach you an acronym vicious monkeys can really attack so that you can approach sales, you can remember something, and you can go, okay, let's take it back to basics. When you're talking to your team, so you forward this video to your team, and then you're having your meeting with your primary stakeholders, and you're saying, okay, we need to drive up sales. What are we gonna do? Well, everybody should say vicious monkeys can really attack. Let's look first at our value. Is our value equation, is our unique value proposition really good? Do we have really good convenience? What could we do to improve our convenience? What could we do to improve our customer experience? What can we do to increase our quality? What can we do to increase our pricing? Not increase our pricing, improve our pricing, I should say. And as you look at all those things, then you have decided, no, I think our value is really good right now. That's not the lowest hanging fruit. That's not our greatest opportunity. Then you move on from the vicious to the monkeys, and you're looking at your marketing, and you ask yourself, we do have such great value, but I'm not sure we're communicating it very well. And what can we do? Well, let's take a look. What does our report card have to say about marketing? Do we have really good engagement? Are our numbers going up of engagement? Are our lead counts going up? And is our conversion rate going up? All the various conversions in your journey to a sale, are those percentages improving, increasing in each of those? And when they aren't, what can you look at? How can you then strategize? Like this becomes now a section that you can really focus on, and your team can strategize. And it's like, well, here is the part where our customers exit the journey. We're doing really well on engagement, and we're getting lots of leads, and they're converting on our website up until the 4th place, and then it's right here where they seem to exit. What is the reason for that? And how can we work on that? So your marketing. And then you go on from the monkeys to the can, which is the Conquest. How are we doing on Conquest, which is the sales component? Do we have good closing ratios? How do we know we have acceptable closing ratios? What are you comparing to? You can either compare to the competition, you can compare to the past, you can compare organizational numbers from one department to another, from one product to another, from one individual to another, to look at what's achievable, what is realistic, what are your averages, and how can you improve that. So looking at the Conquest is a really important thing. Then you're going to look at monkeys can really reorder. You're going to look at your repeat, is the R that I'm using there, but that's reorder. So you can remember either of those. It works either way. You want to look at your retention percentages and your reorder rate, and make sure that you're taking advantage of the frequency, increasing the frequency. Instead of somebody ordering once a year from you, maybe you can get it to twice a year. That's a 200% or 100% increase. It's 200% of what it once was, 100% increase, however you want to phrase that. But looking at those kind of things can really increase your sales. Just your frequency of order can really attack. Last one is your amount. How can you drive up the average amount per sales transaction? We talked about the various things like that. Vicious monkeys can really attack. I hope that works for you, and I hope you will revisit this with your team. I hope you got something out of that, because this is where I want to leave it today. And remember, if you want me to cover a concept in greater detail, we have a link in the description where you can anonymously ask for me to cover a concept where we won't give away anything about your proprietary business issues, and I'll cover those concepts. If you need help with any of this stuff, from the marketing and the sales to the performance analytics, to know whether you're doing a good job in any of these areas, please reach out to BMI. Our company can assist you with all of that stuff. That's what we do. And I want you to leave a comment, and when you do leave a comment and the community reads that, these are entrepreneurs, business owners just like yourself who have challenges, and they get to learn from your insights, and we need to learn from one another. Perpetual refinement.